In Africa, we seem to place suffering on such a pedestal. People seem to take pride in how much pain they had to go through to get to where they are currently. What? I digress. You were watching the Chronicles of Growth. The first thing I'll share is on the subject of visibility. It's Enugu State. It's the year 2020. This is a conference that was set up by Mr. George Emetuche. He's known as the selling champion. And he had high caliber speakers. One of them was Mr. Charles Ilebunam. He's the country head of marketing for Promasido. Promasido is the company that manufactures cowbell. And so it's a relatively high profile event. And so I register for this event, I attend the event, and something interesting happens. Mr. Charles Ilebunam, the Ijele of sales, as he's called, he asks this question, and he's teaching about route to market. I stood up, I gave a short version of my take on the question he asked. It was so compelling, he invited me to come to the stage. And so I get on stage without any prior preparation, and I expound on my ideas in front of a crowd of God knows how many people. And you could feel the awe in the room. It was tangible. It was tangible. I speak for about 5 minutes. Everybody claps. I go back to my seat. Nothing extraordinary happens right away. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from someone I do not remember giving my contact to, but he attended the event. And he calls me and he says,
Val, I remember what you said at the event. I want us to work together. Let me know what it will take.
And then I billed him. Visibility was not me attending that event. Visibility was me leaving a lasting impression on everyone who attended that event. Visibility is not about being seen. It's about being remembered. There are 3 ways that you can attend events that you did not organize. The first is you can attend as a sponsor. You sponsor an event and you get to pitch. You can also attend as a regular spectator, and this is what many people do. But you can also attend events as a shining star. What does it mean to attend as a shining star? It means to show up and let your value so shine before all the attendees at that event. That is the let your light so shine equivalent in business. With business cards, even if you have a team of people distributing them for you, it's still one-on-one. But when you network as a shining star, you network one to many. You network one to many. I would pick networking as a shining star any day, anytime over handing out business cards. Now, there's nothing wrong with having business cards and handing out business cards at networking events, but business cards cannot be the alpha and omega of your networking strategy. It can't. 2 key takeaways here. You must be at the right place at the right time with the right intensity, and you must, as much as possible, leverage one-to-many networking over one-to-one networking. The second thing I will share with you is why I believe empathy can be toxic. I'll tell a story. I was 19. I was in college in my final year, and I remember I was starving myself, saving every penny I could so that I could start this business that I just had an idea about, but I suffered to set up that business. I started as one man, and I was executing all the orders we were getting myself. Eventually, I hired staff, and then it got to the point where I hired managers to oversee key staff members. So I hired someone for the front desk who was also handling operations. At this point, we had built a substantial customer base in our environment. You will not believe, I woke up one day, literally overnight. This happened overnight. I am not exaggerating. I literally slept and woke up the next day and my business had collapsed. What happened? It turns out the person who was handling our operations, the person who was in charge of communicating with key staff members who were in charge of production, she had such toxic attitude to the lower level employees, not to me. So whenever she was around me, she would still be friendly, and I saw nothing wrong with the way she behaved to me. But to the rest of the staff force, she was a pain in the neck. And this had been going on for such a long time. I mean, I heard about it, but then I trivialized it. I would hear people complaining that they don't like the way that this lady was speaking to them. And it continued on and on and on until one day, all the staff who were under her care, and that's really our entire production workforce, decided that they had had enough. And so on that fateful morning, all of them one by one called in to let me know that they were quitting their jobs. And so all the orders that we were supposed to deliver that day got cancelled. And that quickly made the rounds. It was a severe blow to our reputation. Why did that happen? It happened because I believed that I was being empathetic by not calling out the culture deviation by that head of operations. An attack on company culture is an attack on the company itself. This is something that I have come to learn as well. And so all culture deviations in an organization must be treated as emergencies because they are. Empathy should never be an excuse for poor work ethic. Empathy should never be an excuse for tolerating culture deviations. Delegation without due diligence is a recipe for destruction. And so empathy overdose can and has in fact killed many organizations, one of mine included. I cried because, again, I was 19. My vision, my dream was I was going to graduate college, never get a job, and just grow that business. And again, I suffered. I starved for months to raise the capital to build that business. And overnight, it gets just pulled out from under your feet. Empathy should never be without decisiveness. You must balance the two. It's important to show people that you understand the struggles they are going through, but you must be decisive as well. The third thing I'll share is the distinction between pain and suffering. In life, in business, pain is a prerequisite. Pain is a part of life, but pain is not suffering. Suffering is the unnecessary excess pain that you bring on yourself as a result of a deficient mentality. I'll give an example. The Israelites were supposed to move from Egypt to Canaan in 40 days. That would have been a painful journey, but it was necessary. The 40 days were necessary. The 40 days were 40 days of pain. But they misbehaved. Because of their orientation, because of the state of their hearts, they eventually got dealt with 40 years instead of 40 days. The additional 39 years were 39 years not of pain, of suffering. Suffering is optional. Pain is mandatory. Suffering is optional. It's like you have the option to cook with an oven, a gas cooker, and you say, no, I'm going to just hang the pot by myself in the air, and I'll hold one handle of the pot with one hand, and I'm going to just strike a match, and I'm going to manually hold the match until whatever I'm cooking gets done. That is insane. If there is an easier way to do the thing you are doing and you are not doing that, you are intentionally putting yourself through suffering. There is a difference between pain and suffering, and that delta is often a lack of knowledge. I remember on one hot afternoon, this was the year 2023, I believe, I was walking, and this was in the Mest environment, and I was crossing the Mest Bridge, what we call the Mest Bridge. It was hot in the afternoon. We had just finished some lectures, and I was so tired. I was walking like I was in the Sahara Desert. Water! I digress. But I was walking on the bridge, and I was, unknown to myself, walking very slowly. I was tired. And then someone behind me was observing. He walks up to me. His name is Mr. Eric Nsako. And he asks me,
Val, what's wrong? You look and you walk like you're dejected.
And I go on to explain that, I have things under control, but there's just a lot going on. And Mr. Eric told me something that I will never forget. It was so profound. He said to me, Val,
it is not the weight that you carry that weighs you down, but the manner in which you have chosen to carry it.
Profound. And so I had chosen to carry the weights on my shoulders by feeling and looking downcast. But it was well within my power to approach things from a positive perspective. This is another reason why mentorship is crucial. And this is another reason why I believe that it is arrogant for you to refuse to glean the wisdom of the elders. Authors are like the best shortcut in life, in society. Authors have gone through things. They've put down their experiences in books. And yet, so many people don't want to read. You don't want to read. You don't want to watch interviews. You don't want to watch edifying YouTube videos. You don't want to take courses. You are arrogant. Yes, I said it. You are arrogant. You are not just ignorant. If you have voluntarily decided not to glean wisdom, you are arrogant. And as a result of that, a lot of people end up suffering. Especially Africans. I can speak for Africa. In Africa, we seem to place suffering on such a pedestal. People seem to take pride in how much pain they had to go through to get to where they are currently. As a matter of fact, if you complain to an African person, an average African person, they will want to top your complaint by telling you how their situation is much worse than yours. What? You tell somebody, oh, I got bit by a tsetse fly, for instance, they'll tell you, your own better. You've heard the saying, your own better, oh, your own better pass, oh, your own even small. They'll tell you, I've been bitten by a tsetse fly, mosquito, crocodile, alligator, and tiger. And you're like, chai, hey, yeah. Africans seem to just enjoy being pitied by and large. And so to escape that, we need to move from being problem focused to being solution focused. I do not like being around people who discuss problems without being open to discussing solutions immediately. It shouldn't be that way. The last thing I'll share is the relationship between failure and success. I have discovered that the speed with which you succeed is determined by the speed with which you fail and learn from failing. One problem I see among entrepreneurs across board, globally speaking, world over, is not failing fast enough. You're not failing fast enough. If you don't fail fast enough, you will not learn fast enough. And if you don't learn fast enough, you can't succeed fast enough. The society trains you to want to avoid failing, not knowing that there's a difference between failure as an event and failure as a personality, as an identity. That you failed doesn't mean you are a failure. That needs to be spoken about more often. The speed with which you succeed is dependent on the speed with which you fail and learn from failing. I'll talk about the right way to fail and the wrong way to fail. There's a right and a wrong way to fail. The wrong way to fail is to have the failure happen as an event and you just dust yourself and say, I'm going to do better next time. That is suicide. That is suicide. If you fail and you do not learn from that event, you set yourself up to repeat that exact same pattern. That is not the mark of intelligence. Most people I have met do not conduct in-depth post-mortems when something goes wrong in their life or in their business. But a post-mortem is where you sit back and you, in great detail, forensic detail, outline everything that happened, figure out what went wrong, and you document it. You must have documentation that proves that you have learned from failure. Otherwise, how do you remember what you did wrong? How do you guarantee that you will not make the same mistake again? The shortest pen is more efficient than the longest memory. Take notes, document your mistakes, document the part you played in that mistake, own your failures, and make a decision to move on very quickly. Don't be hung up on the past. Move on. If you found this helpful, leave a like, subscribe, share this video with someone who you know will find it helpful, and leave comments so that I know how you're thinking about these topics. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and never stop growing.